Hey, what's going on guys? Today we're going to be designing this awesome CSS button and we'll learn how to do this particle CSS animation from scratch. Let's get started. Before we begin, if you are not subscribed to the Octacademy channel, please consider subscribing and don't forget to hit the bell icon. Alright, first thing first, create a project folder. Then open that project folder inside the VS Code. Now create the index.html file. Next create the styles.css file. Let's begin with HTML markups. First, add the basic structure of an HTML page. So I am using the HTML5 emmet. So HTML:5 and hit enter. Now change the title to CSS Particle Animation. Next, link the CSS file before this title tag, link and enter. The path will be ./styles.css. Alright, next add these markups inside the body tag. First create a div with a class app. Inside this div, create another div with the class button-area. Inside this button area div, create a button tag. Now give a class for this button tag, btn, and inside the button tag, add this click. Save this and run this page using the live server. Those who don't know about this live server thing, it's just a VS Code plugin that runs on web pages and applies the changes to the web page in real time. We don't need to refresh all the time when we add changes. You guys can download this plugin from here. Just search for live server and install. That's it. We can see this basic HTML button inside the browser. Now I want to bring this button to the center of the page. Let's add some styles. Open the styles.css file. First, reset the default page padding and margin, HTML, body, and the scope. Inside this, set margin to 0 and set padding to 0. So this will reset the default margin and padding of the web page. Alright, next let's add some styles to the body. So body CSS selector and the CSS scope. Set the body background to ash 2D3047. This will add this color to the body background. Now set the height to 100 VH. This will set the body height to the 100 vertical height or full browser window height. Set position to relative. This will set the body position to the relative. Next .app and the scope. Inside this, set position to absolute. Text align to center. Left position to 0. Width will be 100%. And top position to 45%. Save this and back to the browser. Perfect. As you can see here, now our button is located center of the page. Cool, right? Next, let's add some styles to this button. Inside styles.css file, first add some style to this button area. Set position to relative. Set width to 200 pixels. Margin auto. And height will be 66 pixels. Alright, next let's add style to the button. So button class is this btn. This btn class is inside this button area div. So .button area space. Inside this button area, we have the button. So .btn and the scope. Inside this set the width to 200 pixels, height to 66 pixels, background color to hash EE 4266, and then set the color to hash FFF. Border will be none and outline will be none. Text dash transform to uppercase. Font size will be 22 pixels. Font family will be Montserrat and sans serif. Font weight will be 600. Letter spacing will be 2 pixels. Set border radius to 6 pixels and set cursor to pointer. After this, add the shadow. I just copy and paste this shadow code. You guys can pause the video and copy this down. Save this and back to the browser. Beautiful, right? Everything looks perfect. Next, let's add some hover effect to this button. So back to the VS Code. Again, this button is inside the button area. So button dash area space, then dot button, and we are adding the hover effect. So colon and hover. Inside this, set the button hover background color to hash E01541. That's it. Save this and back to the browser. Now we can see this hover style. Now I wanna add some effect to this button when clicking this button. Let's do that. Back to the VS Code and add this. .btn dash area .btn. So this time button status is active. So colon active and the scope. Inside this, what I want to do is I wanna scale down the button little bit when clicking the button. For that we can use the CSS transform property. The CSS transform property applies a 2D or 3D transform to an element. With this property transform, we can do rotate, scale, move, etc. So transform colon, I want to scale the button. So scale and brackets. Inside brackets, add the scaling amount 0.9. Save this and back to the browser. Now click on this button. Awesome, right? Now we can see the scale down effect when we clicking this button. Perfect. I did the scaling down. That's why I added this decimal value. We can also scale up by using an integer number value. So add to this, save and back to the browser. Now again click this button. As you can see here, button is scaled up than the default button size. If you want to scale down an element, add decimal values 0.1 to 0.9. If you want to scale up an element, add integer values. Hope you guys got the idea. Change back this to 0.9. Alright. Next, let's do the particle effect. For that, first thing first, we have to create some particles. So go to the index.html file, create a span with class name particles-circle inside this button area div. Okay, this is only one particle circle. Likewise, we need 35 particle spans. We can copy and paste this span 34 times. So we have already one span, right? So we need more 34 spans. As I mentioned before, we can copy and paste, but we can do this with one line of shortcode using the HTML element. We need span, then dot, class name is particles-circle. We have already one here, so we need 34 more. Star symbol, like multiplication, 34, and hit enter. Awesome, right? We got this 34 particle spans with a single line of shortcode. This is the beauty of HTML element. Perfect. So now we have the HTML markup for the particles. Next, let's add some styling to these particles. Inside the styles.css file, particles are inside the button area div. So .button area .particles dash circle and the scope. Inside this, set the position to absolute. Set particles background to ash EE4266. Width will be 45 pixels and height will be 45 pixels. Set top positioning to 10 pixels. Left to 50%. Margin dash left to minus 15 pixels. Save this and back to the browser. In the middle of the button, we can see the particle. Wait, let me change the particle color to the black, then we can see it properly. Now this particle is in a square shape. Let's make this round. Border dash radius to 50%. Save this and back to the browser. Perfect. Now we can see the particle middle of this button. Maybe you guys can think we have created 35 particles, but we are seeing only one here. Why is this? Cause all particles are stacked each on other. That's why we are seeing this only one particle. Alright, next let's add some animation to the particles. We defined animations in CSS using the keyframes property. Let's do that. Add keyframes. Give a name for this keyframe. Particles-1. Inside the scope, the starting point of the animation from and the scope. Define the animation to curly brackets. Inside this, I want to change the position of the particles. So left position is minus 2 pixels and the top position is 215 pixels. Next, I want to scale down the particle. So transform scale inside brackets 0. Alright, we defined the animation. Next, we have to assign that animation to the particles. This animation is for the first particle span. So particles are inside the button area. So dot button dash area, then space dot particles dash circle. I want to add this particles dash 1 animation to the first particle span. So we can select the first span using the int of type CSS pseudo class. So colon int nth dash of dash type and brackets. We are going to add the animation to the first particle span. So give number 1 to this. Now CSS scope. Inside that assign the animation. So animation colon animation name is particles-1. Now set the animation duration. So I just add 1.5 seconds. Next add the delay time. So that is 0.025 seconds. Now save this and back to the browser. Refresh the tab again. Awesome. Now we can see the animation on this particle. If you notice, this animation is now working on when the page loads. I don't want that. What I want to do is, I want to start the animation when clicking this button. For that, what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna wrap this style with another CSS class and toggle that class when clicking this button. So I'm gonna do that using the JavaScript. Okay, first add the CSS class .active, start of this CSS line. Now save this and back to the browser. This time animation is not working because this active class is not applied to the HTML page. Alright, now let's add this .active CSS class when clicking this button. Create a JavaScript file, script.js. Now link that JS file inside the index.html file. Script, hit enter, src, the path will be /script.js. Save this file and open the script.js file and create a function. The function name will be start animation. Then parentheses and the class scope. Inside that I want to add active CSS class to this app div. So give an ID to this, ID equal, and the ID name will be app. Save this and again go to the JS file and get that div using the getElementById. Let app div, this D is capital, assign document dot getElementsById. Carefully follow these capital simple letters. Okay. Inside brackets, quotes, and we are getting the app div, so ID will be app. After this, dot class list. This L is capital. We captured the div. Now we have to add the class to this div. So app div dot add, inside the parentheses pass the class name. Class name is active. Save this. Now what I want to do is I want to call this function when clicking this button. So add the onClick event to this button. Inside this button tag, onClick equal, inside quotes pass the function name start animation and parentheses. Save this all and back to the browser. Now click this button. Perfect. Now this animation is working when we clicking this button. Alright, now we have a small problem. Once again click this button. This time animation doesn't work. Why is that? When we click this button, this will add the active class to the app div. Refresh the page and open the inspect element. Expand this body tag inside this app div class. Now we don't have the active class. Click this button. If you noticed, when we click this button, the active class added to the app div. That's why we are seeing this animation. When we clicking this button for the second time, the active class is already there. That's why this animation is not working when we clicking the button for the second time. To solve this, we have to remove the active class soon after animation end. So back to the VS Code, inside the JS file, remove the active class from the app div. For that, app div dot remove brackets, inside quotes, the class name is active. I want to remove when the animation ends. So create a timeout function, set timeout, parentheses, inside this parentheses, again function, parentheses, and the function scope. Inside this put this remove class code and set the timeout to 1800. Because if you can remember, our animation duration is 1.5 seconds. So I want to remove the class when end of the animation. So I gave 1.8 seconds because I want to give a little more time after the animation. So now save this and back to the browser. Click this button. Perfect. Animation is working. Again click this button. Perfect. This animation is worked for the second time also without any problem. Because if you noticed, when we click this button, this add the active class to the app div. Soon after the end of the animation, it's reset the div by removing the active class. So again, when we click this button, this will again add that active class to the div. That's why this animation is working without any problem. Hope you guys got the idea. Alright, now change the particle color to the actual color, ash EE4266. Save this and back to the browser. Everything looks perfect. Now these particles are in the front of this button. Because of that, we can't see the button properly. So send this to the back. For that, we're gonna use the z-index CSS property. Go to the styles.css file. Inside the particles, circle CSS z-index and value will be -1. And also set the visibility to none. Save this and back to the browser. Perfect. Now particles are behind this button. Alright, we have now animation for the first particle. Copy and paste these keyframes and the animation assign part. Change the keyframe name to particles2. This is for the second particle. So nth of type is now 2. Animation name is now particles2, particles-2, and keep the animation duration as same, 1.5 seconds, and increase the delay by 0.025 seconds. So this will be 0.05 seconds. Now change the position values of the animation. Left to 215 pixels and top to 242 pixels. Save this and back to the browser. Click this button. The animation is not working now. So why is that? If you can remember, we set these particles visibility to none in previous. So now what do we have to do is, we have to set the visibility to visible when the animation starts. So we have defined the animation starting point this from. So inside that, set the visibility to visible. Now save this and back to the browser and click this button. Awesome, right? Now we can see this both particles animation. So we added animation for these two particles. Likewise, we have to add animation for the rest of all particles. So copy and paste the animation. Change this animation name, left and right positioning. So these numbers can be any number, no need to same as mine. Just play around and get your numbers. Change the end type, animation name, no need to change the animation duration, and increase the animation delay by 0.025 seconds. Likewise, do this for all other particles. I am gonna speed up this process, otherwise this will take too much time for this tutorial. If you guys want to add the numbers same as me, reduce the speed from YouTube and copy it down. Once this completed, Save the file and go to the browser. Click this button. Wow, looks great, right? Alright, now we are almost done. At last, just make this animation a little more looks better. For that, I want to remove some of these particles background and just keep the border. Back to the VS Code. Inside the CSS file, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the particle of the odd number and remove the background and add the border. So dot button dash area dot particles dash circle. We can select the odd number using the same nth of type. So colon nth dash of dash type brackets. Inside brackets give odd or double D and the scope. Inside this, set the background color to transparent and next set border solid 2 pixel and the border color will be #EE4266. Save this and back to the browser. Beautiful, right? Everything looks perfect. This is it, guys. This is the end of this CSS button particle animation effect tutorial. Hope you guys learned something with this video. If you guys enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. Then that will help me to do more stuff in future. And let me know your feedback about this video in the comment section. And also, if any of you haven't subscribed to the channel, please subscribe and make sure to hit the notification bell icon. Alright guys, we'll meet with another awesome tutorial like this. Until then, stay safe and learn smart, not hard.